Welcome back to my channel, and we are now on step 7 of bag 2, and what we're going to be doing now is fitting the front wishbones, and we're going to be putting the front hinge pins. They're going to go through, they're going to be retained into the bulkhead using these small grub screws, and then we're going to fit the bumper, and that's going to be held on with these M3 countersunk screws. Now, I've actually come across my first problem with fitting parts, and I don't know if you can see, but where we fit the screw to retain the hinge pin, just on the inside it actually created a little bulge in the plastic. Now, I'm willing to accept that may be my fault for possibly over tightening, but the wishbone wouldn't sit. I've just used a sharp blade just to trim the inside flush, and now the arm does fit perfectly, and there's no slop there, and it's just nice and smooth. So I'm going to now pass the front hinge pins through. That should go straight in, and same on the other side. They're actually a little tough to put in, and I'm not wanting to go all the way home. Just going to apply a little bit of downwards pressure, and they should be going all the way home, and at the moment they're not. So just okay. So far the build has gone seamlessly. There have been no problems, but right now the hinge pins are not wanting to go into the far hole in the wishbone. So I'll just pause the video and I'll fix that. Right, I'm back and I've managed to solve the problem. What I actually had to do was, where the screw had pushed the plastic in, and I mentioned that I trimmed it with a knife, it had actually made the hole slightly smaller. Now, the hinge pins are 2.9mm in diameter, and they need to pass into a 3mm hole. So I used a reamer, and I've just checked, and they do pass through very easily all the way through. Now, I have to confess, this is not actually a problem with the design. It was an error on my part. The screw that goes into the wishbone there, I'd actually selected the wrong one. I'd put an M3 screw in when it should be an M2. Just be aware of that. Very easy to select the wrong screw, and if you do that, then obviously it's going to displace some material and it's going to cause the hole to close up. So with that fixed, I can now put the wishbone in place, and that goes together very nicely. Hinge pin passes all the way through, just as it should. Do the other side. There we go. Now, the kit supplied bulkheads have just one hole in them either side for the grub screws. This aftermarket upgrade factory team part that I'm using actually has 4 holes for the grub screws, and only 2 are supplied in the kit. So for now, I'm going to put the 2 grub screws in, and I'm going to put them at the frontmost point, because that means if the grub screw does work a little looser and it's not applying maximum friction, there's a lot further for the hinge pin to travel through past the grub screw before it comes out and is loose. Although with the fit of these parts, I think it's very unlikely that they'll work loose, and I think 1 grub screw is more than enough to hold these in place. go. And as mentioned previously, if you're putting similar materials together, so aluminium grub screws into an aluminium bulkhead, you should use thread lock, and I'll be adding that later on. What we're going to do now, I'm going to place the bumper on, and the bumper is going to screw through the bulkhead and into the front ball joint support. So place the 2 screws in, and because these are being secured into the plastic material, we shouldn't need to add any thread lock to these. Snip these up. So yeah, just to reiterate, apart from my little mistake, all the parts do fit very nicely together, really good fit, and provided you select the right screws, you shouldn't need to make any modifications. There we go, and that concludes bag 2 step 7. Next video we'll be moving on to bag 2 step 8, and we'll be fitting the front shock towers and the shock tower covers. So see you in the next part. Thanks for watching.